Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera. Okay, this is soil mechanics lecture, and we know that soil mechanics have 5 main topics, which is soil composition, we have soil classification, we also have compaction, and then water in soil, and last is shear strength. So this will be the first lecture, okay, under the first topic, which is soil composition, and this is for the part 1. And for your information, this course is prepared for the first year student as the fundamental topic in geotechnique course. Okay, the learning outcome are as given here. So in the end of this topic, we hope that a student can have a comprehensive understanding on the components of soil, okay, or the components of soil based on the soil phase diagram, or also known as three-phase diagram. So the first thing that we're going to introduce is to make sure that the students can easily understand what are the components of the soil. Okay, what are the components of the soil, and the separation between all those components, okay, will be based on the diagram, okay, will be based on the diagram, which we call it as soil phase diagram, or also known as three-phase diagram, okay. And from the separations of the soil components into the phase diagram, we will introduce the student with the parameters, okay, with the index parameters, also known as basic parameters, or some reference would denote it as physical parameters or the properties. So we will introduce some of the basic equations for each of the parameters, okay, by considering the relationship that been built in the phase diagram. And finally, okay, hope that students can understand the relationship between different index properties, okay. So we want to relate, okay, one index properties with another properties, okay, based on the, again, volume weight relationship, okay. So from the phase diagram, okay, there is a volume and weight, or volume and mass relationship that can be used to derive all those index parameters. Okay, soil are generally made up of few components, okay. In a natural occurrence, it can be divided, or it consists of 3 components. And what are the components? Okay, it consists of solids, water, and air. Okay, solids, water, and air. And we know that solids can be a mineral or organic matter, or both, okay. It comes in different sizes and shapes, okay. Due to that, solid include empty spaces, okay. The solids includes empty spaces known as void, okay. So known as void. So if you have solid particles, okay, you have a solid particles, so in between of the solid particles, okay, this is your solid particles, okay, this is all solid particles. So in between your solid particles, okay, in between of your solid particle, okay, here what we call it as the spaces known as void, okay, void or pores. So what are the components of the void? Okay, the void is either filled with liquid, okay, liquid or gas, okay, liquid which is known as water, or gas, or by both of them, okay, in respective percentage. So the components of voids are water and also air. So these two are the components of your void, okay. So how to separate, okay, these 3 components, okay, we want to separate these 3 components of soil, okay, knowing that this is the components of soil, consists of solid, water, and air. And okay, we, in terms of derivations of the index parameters later, we need to separate them, okay, and known as soil phase system or three-phase diagram. Three-phase diagram, it means that you're talking about three-phase diagram, it means that you have all those soil components. You have solid, you have water, and you also have air. But come back to the definitions, okay? The soil consists of solids and water or air, okay, within the void. So not necessary that the soil material consists of those three components. It may only consist of solid and water, or solid and air. So we have three conditions here, okay, where you have one, solid and air, second, two, solid and water, and number three, where you have all those components. So the difference between these three conditions are the components of void, which is either it has air or only water, or it has both components of void, which is water and air. The proportions of solid, water, and air will influence the soil's physical properties. So for the purpose of analysis, these three components will be separated in soil phase or three-phase diagram associated to volume, weight, or mass relationship. To separate, okay, those three components, okay, within the soil phase diagram, okay, we are going to use the relationship of volume and also weight, or you can say volume and also mass. Okay. Okay, the phase diagram, as I mentioned before, okay, represents by volume and also weight or mass. Okay, let's consider that this is your soil skeleton. Okay, this is your soil skeleton, which is consists of, you have solids, okay, solid particle with different sizes and also shapes, and we know that in between of the solid particles you have here what we call as void, and we know that the components of voids are air and water. Okay, so we separate those three components of soil, which is air, water, and also solid, okay, into the phase diagram, okay, known as soil phase diagram, or also denote as three-phase diagram. Okay, call it three-phase diagram if you have all those three components. You have air, water, and solid. Right? So you have air, you have water, and you have solid. Let's consider this one is weight. So every time I say weight, it can be also mass. Okay, it's just that weight, it means that the unit is Newton or kilonewton. Meanwhile, for mass, it means that you're talking about the gram or kilogram. Okay, so we know that soil definitely has its own weight. I'm sorry. Air definitely has its own weight or mass. But for engineering purposes, we know that the weight of air is too low, which we consider that as equal to 0. So therefore, we have weight of water, okay, and we also have weight of solid, denoted as WW and WS. And the total weight is everything here, okay. Weight of air, even though we consider is equal to 0, plus weight of plus weight of weight of water plus weight of solid. Meanwhile, for volume, we have volume of air, volume of water, and volume of solid respectively. And we know that volume of air plus volume of water, that is equal to VV, and the total volume is everything here. The presence of soil components also depends on the condition of soil. As I mentioned, we have three main components of soil, which is solids, air, and water. And solid must be there in any situation. So in situations of partially saturated, okay, where the void consists of both air and water, so this is your void, the components of soil, okay, comprise air, water, and solid. This will make the three-phase diagram applicable. Okay, so that's the reason why we call the phase diagram as three-phase diagram, which means that we are referring to conditions of oil in partially saturated, or also known as unsaturated. Okay, unsaturated. Okay, meanwhile, for fully saturated and also dry, okay, the void components will be either water or air. So this is your void components. Okay, this is your void components. Okay, so for fully saturated and dry soil, okay, the voids will only have either water or air, which make the separation into two-phase diagram. Okay, two-phase diagram. So here we can say that this is three-phase diagram. Okay, because you have all those air, water, and solid, all those three components. And for fully and dry soil, this is what we call as two-phase diagram. Okay. So for fully saturated, okay, for fully saturated, soil only consists of water and solid. Okay, while for dry soil, the soil will only consist of air and solid because it's dry. So if it's dry, it means that it has no water. If it's fully saturated, it means that it is fully with water. So the void is fully occupied by only water. So there comes all those three conditions. Okay, we have partially saturated, we have fully saturated, and also dry soil. So depending on the components of void, okay, it will give you a different conditions of soil. Okay, that's all for now. With that, thank you, and I'll see you later for the next lecture on soil compositions part 2. Thank you very much.